Now we've got shapes for our distributions. So the first one here is mound shape symmetrical. So it looks like a bell curve. It goes up, comes back down, kind of the same thing on both sides of the highest point in the middle. Uniform or rectangular is going to be mainly all the same size, same height. Skewed left means the lower part is on the left and it goes up. Skewed right means the lower part is on the right and then it goes down towards your right. Bimodal means there are two bumps in your graph. So we have two mounds on your picture. Outliers in a data set are the data values that are very different from the other measurements in the set. They're usually the numbers that are way off from the other numbers. So they might be not even close to your group of numbers that you have. They could be really small or really big compared to the rest of the group. Cumulative frequency table. The cumulative frequency for a class is the sum of the frequencies for that class in all previous classes. So we're adding the frequency. We're not adding the relative frequencies, but we're adding the frequencies of it. Your ogive then is going to be a graph that displays these cumulative frequencies. With your ogive, it's also going to be more like a line graph. We're going to connect the dots when we graph it. So here for our second example, we've got Aspen, Colorado is a world-famous ski area. If the daily high temperature is above 40 degrees Fahrenheit, the surface of the snow tends to melt. It then freezes again at night. This can result in a snow crust that is icy. It can also increase avalanche danger. The table gives a summary of daily high temperatures in degrees Fahrenheit in Aspen during the 151-day ski season. Find the cumulative frequency and add it to the table. So the cumulative frequency is the sum of the frequencies. So for the first row, it's just 23. For the second, though, we take 23 plus 43. So we add the numbers together. For my third one, I take that total, and we're going to add 51 to it. For the fourth row, I take my total, and we add 27. And then for the fifth row, I take my 144, and I'm going to add 7. So your ending number should be the total number of numbers that you have for your table. Since there are 151 days that we are looking at, we should have a total of 151 at the end. Now for your ogive, you're going to take those cumulative frequencies. You still need to make sure that you give a title and label everything. So we are looking at high temperatures during the Aspen ski season. Okay, so we are going to have the cumulative frequencies for my y-axis. Now, if you look at your cumulative frequencies, the smallest is 23, the highest is 151. So we have to make sure we cover those when we go through these. So depending on how much space you have, that also limits you on how you're going to go through these when you label all of your parts. So we have that range. I think I'm going to go up by 40 then because I don't have that much room. We're going to do 40, 80, 120, 160. Now, when you go through and do your X, it's the exact same thing like all of our other ones. It's going to be your class boundaries. So we're going to start with 10.5, and then our next one is 20.5. Then we've got 30.5, 40.5, 50.5, and 60.5. Now our label for my X is going to be my temperatures. And these are in degrees Fahrenheit. So you're going to always start with 0 at the lowest class boundary. So we're going to always start at the lowest class boundary. You're going to start with 0. The next one is going to be your cumulative frequency for that first group. So after I hit 20.5, we now are at 23. Then we go to 30.5 and do 66. We go to 40.5 and do 117. We go to 50.5 and we've got 144. And then we've got 60.5 as 151. Like I said, we're going to connect the dots there. So you should be able to see the growth as it goes through this line graph. Now for part B, I guess as you look at these, it says, looking at the ogive, estimate the total number of days with a high temperature lower than or equal to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So 40 degrees Fahrenheit is going to be then how many days that we are looking at. If we want 40 degrees, that's your class boundaries. So you want to figure out how many of our days are going to have class boundaries of 40.5 and smaller. So if we look at our cumulative frequency that matches up with the group from 30.5 to 40.5, that's 117. So that is saying there is a total of 117 days between 10.5 degrees and 40.5 degrees. So that means our estimate would be 117 days. Because again, there are a total of 117 days from the lowest class boundary all the way up to 40.5. I don't want the degrees that are above 40.5. Those would be the ones past that row for those class boundaries.